Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a frosty winter mug with a Christmas cookie. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I'm going to show you how to do it from start to finish tonight. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to chat during our show, so if you've got questions, you can ask them, and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, I'm going to be using a 9 by 12 inch panel, or I'm sorry, not, I was distracted by my phone there, 10 by 10 inch, not even close, 10 by 10 inch canvas. I'm so used to saying 9 by 12, that's like our normal size here. This is the Pro Series from Fredrix, so got the nice big sides. I was actually going to do them on the 9 by 12, but I changed it the last minute because I thought it would look nicer having the cropped image. Otherwise, the mug would have been really small in here. So I wanted it to take a little bit more of the focus of the painting. But you can do it whatever size you want to on yours. So if you want more of that background showing, you can do it landscape style like it was in the original photo. All right, so I'm going to be using a 2-inch large brush just for the background here. This is the Aspen series from Princeton, and then I've got a few of their kind of a little bit smaller brushes. There's a 8 Filbert and an 8 Bright, and then I've got a 2 round in the Summit series with the green handles, and then we've got with the red handles here. Let's just go over those. I've got a 1 and a 3/0 round, and then a 3/8 inch and a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch angle shader. So we'll be using those for most of the mug work. These on the mug, if we have time, we'll do some of the little scroll work on the mug itself, but I don't want to go too much over 2 hours if possible. So I want to keep it to 2 hours tonight. So if we're going to be going over doing that, then we'll cut it short. So we're going to leave that for the end. And I've also got a 3/8 inch Willow's blender, a 3/16 inch or whatever size you have of the little Deerfoot Stippler. These are the Princeton Select and the blue handles, and then the fan brush for some of our snow. Okay. If I'm going fast tonight, that's for a reason, but I've got got the materials down in the description. At least the colors, probably not all the brushes exactly, but and then you're going to want some sort of a little pouncer or Q-tips for some of the other stuff that we're going to be doing. And I may use a sponge on the background. I'm probably not going to use that. I was going to use it in the background, but I decided just to go ahead and paint around my mug so I didn't have to stop and draw it tonight. All right, let's go over colors. I've got Carbon Black Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, Quinacridone Burnt Orange, Yellow Oxide, Indian Yellow Hue, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Cobalt Teal, Phthalo Blue Green Shade, Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and this we're going to also use Zinc White. I don't have it out yet for the snow. And then this is the gloss glazing liquid that I like to use. Alrighty, let's go ahead and start with this large brush here. I'm going to go ahead and wet it down. This is the thank you to Princeton and Fredrix. Those are our sponsors for brushes and canvases. So appreciate them for providing our materials tonight. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and do this really pretty teal here. We've got a lot of snow and some little lights twinkling in the background here, but this teal is kind of our main color. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a pretty good amount of that. And since our canvas is dry, I'm just going to go ahead and wet it down. This is a water-soluble pencil on here, so it'll dissolve in when we paint with it. You never want to paint or draw onto your canvas with a graphite pencil because it will bleed through your paint. It won't cover it. So, all right, I think that's good. So that'll be like a little bit softer, just a little bit of white. And I'm just going to dab that on there. Really kind of put it on sort of wispy like. The water in the background, if you're wondering why we did that, that just helps the paint to absorb down in onto the dry canvas. When you first put it on, in this canvas, these cotton canvases are much more textured than some of the linen canvas boards that I use often. So they need a little bit of water just to kind of help it. You don't have to do it, but I like to just let that paint soak down in there. You won't get as many of those little white things that you see when you get your first coat on. Sometimes you'll see that the paint hasn't absorbed down into the little cracks of the canvas, the texture of the canvas. So this will help that paint get down in those little fibers. I'll go quickly. Going around these is going to slow me down a little bit, but drawing it would slow me down more. So I just decided to draw it beforehand so I didn't have to worry about it during the show. It just takes too long on a Tuesday night. I just don't. Saturdays I usually will take the time to draw, but Tuesday nights we're under
the pressure right now.
Yeah.
I'm holding her to a very tight
Marcus,
schedule.
He's like, Oak Island starts at 8
o'clock.
You gotta be done. I get it.
Plus, you have to go night too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's really more of it. We start losing Mark around 8 at night. He starts verbally shutting down. Okay. So there's our very light pink there. Or light pink. I'm like so out of my words tonight. I don't know what is going on with me.
So don't adjust your color.
This is not pink. This is teal.
Your TV's fine.
I don't know what's going on with me. All right, let's go ahead and grab the Phthalo blue and some burnt sienna. I grabbed the Quinacridone burnt orange on accident there. I meant to get burnt sienna. Burnt sienna, I'm going to mix it in with some of this teal. The teal is basically phthalo blue and phthalo green plus white. So if you don't have it, just mix up a little bit of green with your phthalo blue and you'll get a color similar to this, and then add some white. You'll be good to go. All right, so I'm going to use this color, and I think I actually will use some of this kind of burnt orange color down here. And this blue is still wet, so it's going to kind of mix with it a little bit. And I'm using the Filbert now because it's going to give me like these really soft little edges. And I'm just going to go ahead and let those brush strokes show as I'm painting. So I'm not going to blend them all out. I'm just going to let them be part of our scene. It's all kind of, different things going on back here. So put that blue on quickly and then get to this part before that dries so that you can blend it in. It'll just kind of help that color kind of absorb into the canvas. Ooh, we got a little bit of yellow there. That's okay. So this time I'm going to try to go all the way. I think I covered up part of my cookie there.
Don't cover up the cookies.
I know. So it'd be a shame. Let's go ahead and get some white and Unbleached Titanium. Do a kind of a soft white in some of these areas too. And we're going to add kind of some mist to the coffee. I don't know, steam. Thank you. That was the. Oh, it's going to be a long night. I can just tell already. My words are not happening. This is what happens when I draw just before the show. I lose all of my ability to speak.
But again, you were very polite and said thank you to yourself. So that's all that matters. You still have your manners.
All right, so adding a little bit of yellow here just to make it like a kind of a more of a green in some places. Just added a little bit of the yellow to that cobalt teal. Add it up here. And then I can go back in with this larger brush and very lightly kind of brush over this. I'll kind of blend it in. You see how it's doing? I don't have to do the blending if you like the brush stroke. So the only thing I need to be careful not to see when I set my square brush down there, it's going to make a line. So I'm just going to try to come in from the edges so that I blend it. And try not to stop in the middle of the canvas there. Okay, that's good enough. Let's go ahead and do some of this darker color in here. Got a tickle in my throat. Excuse me. I'm going to get some of the Quinacridone burnt orange. I'm just adding it to this color here. See how pretty that is? Just kind of a few little indications of some other colors. Let's go ahead and put some brown in here. I don't know what these are in our picture. It's just, and you don't have to know. It's just kind of putting some random colors. I think that's probably good. I don't think I want to overdo it. I'm gonna, what are you gonna say, Ann?
I said we may not want to know.
Yeah. True
But
that.
But it's Christmas time, so I'm sure it's cheery and bright.
Right, it's not anything weird.
Right.
All right.
So while she's taking a breath, I want to say hi. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us. She may have already said that, but I wasn't paying attention.
Didn't.
So I'll say it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Hope everybody's having a great week.
Yeah. Hope you're ready for Thanksgiving. We're excited. Our kids are coming down to see us. So.
Well, them Canadians, they already had their Thanksgiving, so.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's all right. Okay, I'm going up. I brought that blue down, but now I'm going to go back over it with that blue or brown from, this is all kind of blended out in our picture, so I'm just going to kind of blend this edge out a little bit into that wet brown. You see how that's going to do? It's just going to kind of disappear that whole edge of that wood that this mug is sitting on. I'm just going to pull down with it. I did not clean out my brush, so it's got a little bit of that blue in it. It's not going to hurt anything. This side is a little bit lighter. Get a little bit more of this color. If your paint's not going on smoothly, just add a little bit of water. So somewhere in here. Just want to do kind of like one line of this kind of light brush strokes and then kind of go back in with your blue to, so you've got one line that's kind of just a mixture of the blue and brown, and then come right up underneath. Now the reason I wiped my paint off is because I had too much paint on my brush to blend, because I wanted to blend out this area because I had put down a little bit of paint here and it was kind of thick. So when you want to blend out an area that's, you know, kind of thick paint, you need to wipe your brush clean. That'll help you have an easier time of it. All right, getting a little bit of the darker, and let's get some blue. I'm gonna go right up to my mug, right up underneath it. Really dark, and then this whole area out here is dark, so I'm just gonna kind of pull and let it go over that wet paint. It's gonna blend right into that paint for me. Man, what did I eat just before the show? Is that soup? Something in there.
Yeah. You were nice and let me have a dinner beforehand.
Well, you're the nice and picked it up for us, so. Okay, so a little bit of the light color back there, and then this dark area right here kind of goes right from the edge of the cookie out, just the shadow. It extends from this cookie to this cookie there. Okay. So I don't want to go too slow with this because I want to go ahead and fill in this area as quickly as I can with the lighter color. I'm just adding more and more of this unbleached titanium so I can get some of this lighter color right here on this bottom area. Am I angled? Okay, I'm on camera. I was just making sure I wasn't angled too far down. Turned it so I could work easier. It's easier to work kind of side to side here when you're trying to do, work quickly. At least for me, it's just kind of find it easier to angle my canvas a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that dark shadow back in that cookie. All right, there we go.
We got a paint question.
Okay.
So besides a golden heavy body, do you recommend any other paint, or that's a good paint?
I used okay, when I taught my kids classes and beginner classes, we used Liquitex Basics. That was a good, because you could buy like a full set. I had the students, buy their sets of paint whenever I wasn't providing for them. And it's kind of an economical, you get like, I don't know, 24 to 48 colors, different ones. Arteza also has a decent beginner set. There's different brands, but I like the consistency of the Liquitex Basics for beginners. And then you can, Titanium White, getting the burnt orange here, and the Ultramarine Blue. Going to create kind of a dark orangey mauve color with this blue and orange color together. It makes a really beautiful like purple. I'm going to use this on my mug. So yeah, that's a good one to start with. And then what I would say is, like, as you run out of paint, as you use it up, then switch to the heavy body acrylics. And that way but if you've been using different paints and you're comfortable with painting and you feel ready to invest, then, I like Golden brand. Liquitex brand is good too. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more of the lighter ultramarine blue in places and getting some white. And I'm just going to kind of fill in my mug with varying areas of darkness. And this area right here is going to be really dark. I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber and just put it down in here. I'm not cleaning out my brush. I'm just kind of working these areas one into the next so that I can kind of blend them out as I go. This one's probably, you could probably glaze in these areas later if you wanted to. I was kind of debating whether I wanted to paint it in this way, paint in the solids or the shadows solid as I went, or paint them in afterwards. So you could do it either way. If you wanted to, you could just paint the whole mug the same color and do all the decorating on it, and then glaze just the areas that you want the mug to look brighter or darker. Glaze the darker areas. And dog's dreaming in the background here. He fell asleep just before we started the show. He's in the background. I forgot to tell you. So today all right, so I'll do this first and then I'll talk about the dog. So right along here on this side, I want it darker. Our highlights coming from, our light's coming from this side. So that's why our shadows are all on this side. Light hits it here and shadows the opposite side. So this side will be a little bit darker on our mug. So I'm just going to get some of this darker purple blue color here that's got a little bit more of the ultramarine blue in it. Use that along this side of the mug. And it's going to look too dark at first, but you'd be surprised at how dark these areas actually are. Even on white, it's actually fairly dark in here. It's almost black in some of these shadow areas. So don't be afraid of going really dark. And if you have trouble like kind of seeing how dark things are, you can use a tool like this and actually put it up against your reference image. So if I do that on the reference image on the TV here, these dark areas are actually this dark. The darkest areas like right in here and at the very bottom of the mug are between these two darknesses on the reference. So we need to go even darker than we are there. We're pretty close on that one, but like down here, we probably need to go a little bit darker with it. All right. So what?
Your teal is cobalt teal, right?
Yes, cobalt teal.
Okay. So that's what I thought.
Yeah. There's a color called teal too that's very similar you could use.
Okay, but they're two different.
Yeah, they're two different
tones
colors.
Or whatever.
They basically what happened was the cobalt teal ingredients weren't available for a while, so Golden developed. Well, I don't know for sure. I know that they had a color named teal. I don't know if they had them both at the same time before this happened, but there was a time, I don't know, about a couple years ago where cobalt teal wasn't on their roster for a while, and then it's back. So it was there for a while, and then it went away, and teal was the only one that was available, and now it's back. So
really what happened is that all they did was make teal, and then one day one clumsy worker was walking by the pot and accidentally spilled cobalt into it.
Cobalt.
And so instead of throwing away the whole thing, they just said, well, now
Just
it's
make a new
cobalt
color.
teal.
Yeah. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure you don't have to fact check that.
All right, getting some. I'm going to go ahead and get some of this blue that's from our background, because white will reflect what's around it. So on these areas over here, I think I went a little high on that, but it's all right. Just need to make sure I even that out. Pull down there. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And then I'm going to get the brighter white, go along this side of it, kind of pull that in. That area right in there, tucked in next to that cookie, is going to be really dark too. Okay.
I'll let you fact check me.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Open series, it's basically the same thing. It's just a slower drying.
Yeah, they have an additive in it that makes it closer to oil paints.
Okay.
It's still water based, but it dries a lot long. It takes a lot longer to dry, like up to a day to dry. So I haven't used it in videos because I'm worried that I won't be able to.
Yeah, we'll be here a while.
Exactly. If I had to wait for the layers to dry, we would have to. It would be a problem. So, but they did send me some to try, so I have some, and we're going to be giving those away for our 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. Got it right here. You even put a bow on it. Isn't that cute? So that'll be one of our giveaway items. They sent me an extra one to try out for myself. Oh no.
And one for me, right?
Right. You can borrow mine. All right, I'm going to switch it to my 2 round here.
Damn me down.
Yep. Yes, so today I stumbled upon a squirrel video on YouTube. Oh my gosh, Fitzpickle. He's a squirrel, like, fiend. The poor squirrels in our backyard. Our dog just, oh my gosh, he just runs after him. If he sees one, he is out as fast as he can run to get him. I don't know what he would do when he caught him. He'd probably just do like he does the cat and just tackle it and, think it was a game. But he froze and he watched that squirrel. I mean, for a good 2 minutes, he did not move. He did not breathe. He just sat and stared at that TV. I'm serious. He did not make a noise. He did not twitch. He was like, oh my gosh, it's a squirrel in the house. How did it get in here? It's cute. And then he went to the back door to look for it and then decided it wasn't actually in the house and went on with his business. But it was pretty cute for a minute there, trying to figure out how the squirrel got in the house.
Oh, he's cute all right until it comes to eating Christmas tree lights.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
I knew you were going to be so mad too. I was just like, I don't even want to tell Mark. Because he didn't want to get a dog because of this very reason. This is exactly why he didn't want to get a dog.
Brand new tree, out of the box, maybe a week.
Yeah, we just put it into the living room.
2 lights
like,
chewed.
No, it was like I want to say it was like 2 days in the living room. Like it was pretty new. Yeah. And he waited for a day when I was super busy and on my computer, and I was sitting on the couch, but he just was, he was super quiet about it. And I look up and he's chewing on the Christmas tree. And they're not like lights that you can just like pop off and replace either. They're the LED lights that are on a continuous strip. So, that was fun. I was not happy. Fortunately, it wasn't plugged in at the time. All right, I mixed both of these blues and the burnt orange here. For this mug, I was just using these colors that we used on the mug, so there's nothing really special here. But then I'm going to go and darken it up here with this color a little bit. Yeah, dogs, fun stuff.
Oh, well.
He's sweet, though. I'm glad we got him. Even if he does eat the tree. He got put on timeout for most of the rest of the day. And his little puppy playpen. Alrighty, so there we go. There's our mug. Started at least. And then let's work on our cookie. So I'm going to go ahead and use, I think I'm going to use let's go ahead and use the 3/8 inch. I want to use the largest brush that I can fit in the area that I can comfortably, manipulate. So this one looks like it'll be about right. I'm going to go ahead and get, for the cookie color, I'm going to go ahead and use the burnt umber and burnt sienna. Kind of equal parts. That'll be our dark area. Let's get a little bit more of the burnt umber for really dark areas. And then we'll add some of the yellow oxide and unbleached titanium for the lighter areas. There we
go. So what size canvas is it again? I'm sorry.
10 inch.
10 by 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll update the description.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
You must have done it after I logged in.
I did it just before the show.
Let me do some fact checking here. Yep, it's 10 by 10. Good thing I'm on the ball.
All right, I think that'll be a good color. I want to go just slightly darker than the color I want to end up with because I want to kind of stipple on some highlights to give it that crusty cookie texture. And this one got just totally covered over here. Okay, I feel like I brought that out too far. Bring it back in. Thankfully, my background is sort of dry enough to edit. Yeah, because this goes at an angle with this line here, just about. So this line comes up and this comes out about the same area right here. Oh, and this comes in. That's why it looks weird. So I need to bring that background in. I didn't bring my background in far enough right here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to get the dark area here. I'm just going to go in on this bottom edge with it. Seeing a little bit of the side of the cookie in some of these areas down here. Get that light color again. I have the drawing for this available on Patreon, so I didn't mention that before, but if you don't like to draw and you still want to paint along, those traceables for all of the paintings that I do are available on Patreon for $2, I'm sorry, $2 a month. You can download as many as you want and then cancel. You don't have to, keep it for any length of time. It's just the way they have it set up. It's just a monthly recurring pledge, and you'll get all the past traceables and then any new ones that we come out with that month. So. So now I'm just trying to kind of get in here and really work that paint down into all this area, make sure I've got a good coverage on the entire canvas. good. This area around this cookie looks a little bit. And sometimes where one color begins and the other one ends, there'll be a little bit of a space there. So just try to kind of fill in any gaps that you see. Going back there with this darker color, kind of mixed in and just kind of adding a little bit of it along those edges. Some of the edges got, a little bit darker, cooked a little bit deeper brown. If your paint's starting to dry, just let it dry completely and then continue. You don't have to, you can even use a hairdryer to help spread it all, speed it along. But if you mess with it while it's kind of getting sticky, you'll end up having problems. So you don't want to do that. If it starts to feel kind of sticky or gummy, just kind of back off, let it dry, do something else on a different part of the canvas and come back to it. Once it's dry, you can continue where you left off. Okay, so just going in there dark and then grabbing a little bit of that lighter color and just blending out that wet paint, pulling that darker color in to the middle a little bit. So yeah, we're kind of crisping up our cookie along the edges here. This edge is really dark. Cute.
It definitely needs to be thinner. That's all I know.
Mark likes thin Christmas cookies. I know. As long as you're not saying that about your wife, you're okay.
And so I get all the leftover bits.
Right.
All the parts that she can't make the big thick ones for everybody else. I could just get kind of the scraps.
Right.
But you know what?
What?
They taste awesome. My mouth doesn't care what shape they are.
Right.
For what they look like.
Yeah. Yeah, marks aren't pretty usually. Because by then the dough it's usually like the last little bit of the dough that I had left over from each of the Christmas cookies that I've cut. And that dough usually has a lot more flour in it because it's been rolled several times. And it's a little bit different consistency.
Yeah, she's like, okay, well, I guess this isn't good enough for anybody else. Let's give it to Mark.
Yeah, exactly. Mark's the only one that likes his burnt, so.
And Mark comes home and shoves them all in his face in one sitting.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to cancel our cookie party this year. I'm really disappointed, but we've done it 18 years in a row. Me and my girlfriends get together every year and decorate Christmas cookies, and I was kind of the party pooper this year. I just was like, I can't do it. I can't. Sad. But yeah. Another one bites the dust from COVID. Our 50th birthday, bit the dust this year too. So it's been kind of a year for Spencer's graduation. Didn't happen from high school. But
well, it happened.
We'll have fun. We'll just do it at home. Maybe we'll have a virtual party with my friends.
It happened just without all the pomp and circumstance.
That's true. Plus, we didn't have to sit through a bunch of
wonderful speeches from very incredible people.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, every time I think about graduation, I think about Nathan's graduation when we planned a big party. and we invited all of our family, and I'm thinking 3 hours, something like that, so I invited, people who couldn't come to the actual graduation ceremony, but,
Right,
would come for the party at our house.
They limit the number of people for each student.
Right. So, yeah, it just, and we're like A, Nathan Anderson, we're in the A's. I mean, it was like 2.5 hours, and they hadn't even started the A's yet, and they got, I mean, I had to get back to the house. We had people showing up, and so as soon as they called Nathan's name, there was 11 of us at least. We all got up and walked out. It was like, man, they really hate the bee people. So they are anti.
We do not want to be here for them.
No, I felt so bad. I was so embarrassed, but there wasn't a whole lot we could do at that point. Oh, and it wasn't like we were inconspicuous either, like sitting at the back of a thing. It was like a circular arena, so you could see everybody across from all directions.
Yeah, we're all from the balcony.
Coming down the stairs.
Excuse me.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible. It was so bad. Ugh. All right, so we're done with the cookies here. Somebody left a comment like, I don't care about listening to you and your husband while you're talking. I'm like, well,
you know
sorry.
what? I don't care to hear about them either.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you were doing the cookie, what size brush did you use?
I used 3/8 inch angle, which in some places it was probably too big. Probably the 1/4 inch would have been good too. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just noticing like right in here, this area looks pretty sparse. I think the rest of it is pretty decent, but I do want that background to look good. So I'm going to go ahead and give it just one more coat on the background here. Fingers crossed that I don't mess it up. I'm going to get the teal. I got a little bit of the Phthalo blue and mixed it with that burnt orange color. But this area right here in front of this mug is a little bit darker than I had it. Look at this brush, it's got a stray hair sticking out right there. That's not good. I did something to that. Didn't wash it properly, obviously. Or it leaned up against another brush when it dried. I'm going to have to bend it back. Okay. It's going to pull up away from that cup edge. Just trying to straighten out that cup. And then blend that out. And that was a little bit watery. I really don't like the fact that that paint was so watery right there. So I'm going to get a little bit thicker paint and try to come down over this. Blend. There we go. And when you're doing this, like, and you're gonna be doing the whole thing, so like over here where I've kind of left off and have to come back to it, I want to make sure that I am blending out these edges so that I'm leaving kind of a wispy edge, so I don't have like a hard line here. So all of this, like when I laid it on here, I just kind of brushed it out very thin, so that when I go back over it, I don't have like a hard edge to deal with. Okay, I'm still not 100% happy with that, but I think it'll when we do our little wispy stuff, we can
Mist.
cover it then. Mist, yeah, the steam. Just try it. Did that on purpose.
Maybe.
Steam. Oh yeah, wait a minute. No, that's not right. He's messing with you.
I just do that because I'm way over here and you can't hit me. The studio setup is perfect.
Right. Yeah, it is. You're far enough away that I can't do anything about it. Okay. So just the second coat here. Really basically doing the same colors and everything, but just kind of going a little bit more intense in some areas, a little bit deeper colors. I'm using a square brush this time because that other one wasn't working. So we'll have a little bit different look to the end of the... Ooh, that was a lot of paint there. That's okay. Just push it around, make it work. So if you do that, you can scoop up that paint and put it somewhere else. You don't have to just move it around in that area. Okay. Just trying to kind of blend this all in so that it makes sense together. Just any of these areas that look rough or look like, you know, the canvas is showing through real obvious in places. That's where I'm gonna target this color here. Just give it another layer of paint. Okay. Using this light turquoise and white with that cobalt teal, and I have other colors in my brush, so it's kind of a little bit more gray than the full color with white, but that's fine. Okay, now we're back to this area over here, and we had already kind of blended it out before we moved on, so it's not going to be a big deal just to kind of go back in here. And I'm going to go over that edge just a little bit between the background and the mug. Maybe get a little bit of that darker color. I had some little white spots in some areas here, so I'm just trying to target those and make sure that I've got all this area really well and covered. Okay. All right, I think that's good. Things going on here. Let's go ahead and just kind of add some texture to our very lightly dry brushing here. I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this gray color, add that from our background. Come in here where the cookie meets the background, meets the table. Just kind of making this very abstracted wood grain here with this light gray green color. Adding a little bit of detail here. Now, if we want to, we can go back in here and also add our lines in the wood. So it's kind of going at an angle this way. So I can grab a little bit of black. Really press my brush flat so that I have a good thin line here. And it's actually a little bit closer to this angle here. Right there. And then this one is right along here. Kind of disappears into that cookie right there. It's, let me see there. So this one is kind of there, and then this angle is right here. It kind of goes like this. There. Okay. And then that's pretty much it. And so I'm going to use this brown to add some little dabs and darken up this corner of the wood. Go over that line and create a better seam in there. If you kind of lightly shadow on either side of it, that board, it kind of rounds out those boards. Make them look a little bit more natural too. Okay, and then I'm going to use this dark black brown color right up under my mug here. Give it another shadow. And I'm just dry brushing here. I'm not blending it into anything. I'm just going over this dry paint and adding my shadow. This nice dark color. And I'm just going to use what's left of my brush here to kind of mess that up a little bit. Kind of not happy with this. I'm just going to go over that a little bit. Okay, that's good enough. That's really all I'm going to do there. How are we doing for time?
We are doing great.
Good.
I don't know
Okay,
what
we're an hour in. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and do our lights. I'm going to use white here with my dabber, and this is dry enough. Whoop, well, it's actually not dry. Nope, it's not. Okay, so we can't do that yet. So we'll do the cookie instead. Plan B.
So I know this isn't a
Cookie.
real painting because there's only one cookie. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
How could you have just one cookie?
True. Okay, so you see how we're tapping here? This is going to create that kind of cookie texture, that little...
Real quick, which brush did you grab?
This is the small Deerfoot, or you could use the blender, either one, whatever works for you. Just basically something small that you can stipple with. And then I'm going to get some of this darker color to a little bit of the, actually let's go ahead and use a little bit of the Yellow Oxide, Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, just like a toffee brown color. The yellowy brown, there we go. So in the darker areas here where we've got the cookie, you know, a little bit more baked, you'll want to use that darker color, and then I'm going to tap into that lighter color for the middle of the cookie and our highlight sides. So the side that's facing the light here is going to be brighter. If you get it too light, you can always go back over it, so don't worry about it. Mainly though, I'm just trying to do this so that I'm just creating a little bit of texture, but I'm not creating a pattern. So I don't want to have a pattern of, if you kind of repeat too close together and without kind of going back and forth and up and down, you'll end up with, your brush will just, create these little repeat patterns. So as I'm tapping, I'm going tap, 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 and like, kind of doing it quickly, but I am constantly moving my brush. I'm never just tapping straight up and down in the same area over and over again. I'm always moving and always going up, down, back, and around, and not like in a straight line. And that way I'm going to soften and create this soft, blendy texture without creating a pattern in it. And patterns are really easy to do when you're doing this, because you get kind of going and you don't really realize you've, like you may want to go all the way around the whole thing and then come in and fill it in. Do not do that, because then you'll end up with a line that you cannot get blended out. It just will not. You'll end up having to go back in with darker area and blend it out that way, because you'll have to basically paint your cookie again. You won't be able to get that line. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so if you were like normally, when you would paint something like this, you could maybe, go in all the way around and get your edges really good and then fill in the middle. When you're doing this thing, you do not want to do that, because then when you come back, you won't be able to blend that edge out. So just kind of do each section as you go, blend those out as you go. Here's this kind of more toffee brown color now with a little bit of the yellows in it, a little bit of the Indian yellow and yellow oxide. And on my cookies. So either my table needs to go darker or my cookie needs to go darker. And I think it's my cookie that's darker in this picture. So I'm going to go a little bit darker. Because it wasn't showing that gap right there. So this is just that kind of toffee brown color, adding that in. And then I'm going to get that unbleached titanium, mix that with this a little bit, tap it out, and use that kind of in the middle again. And you can do this as many times as you want to, but just be careful, you don't want to lose your dark color underneath. So the more you do the light colors, the more apt it is going to be to become, just all a solid light. I think that I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that. Okay. So I'm going to get the burnt umber, a little bit of the glaze, and I put it right on the corner of that brush. And I'm just going to go back in here and darken up my edges of the cookie here where that edge is sticking out, and this will go over that texture that we just created, and you'll end up with a nice blend here. You should be able to see the texture of the paint underneath if you've got this thin enough. You don't want it so thick that you're covering. The whole idea about glazing is to do it softly so that you can see your texture underneath. Okay, good. Now In some areas it's okay to have it solid, so like down in here I see some solid color. There we go. And right here it's really dark. And I'm kind of tapping in along that edge because it's not a solid line, it's a cookie, you know, so it's got kind of a roundedness where it got cut. So you can kind of go back, you can make this edge a little bit soft where it meets the other part of the cookie. Okay, there we go. And get really dark right in here. Okay. And then I'm going to use this, which is some of the glazed paint, and go just on the side of where I'm going to put my icing. So I'm going to kind of figure out where my icing is going to go and go just to the shadow side of it. So just a little bit on this edge of it. We'll put the icing on later, and I want to kind of blend that out because I don't want it to be like a hard line that I have to cover or anything. It's a shadow, so there we go. And then this one's going to be kind of on the bottom of this one. Right, the highlight is going to hit the top of the icing. This one is kind of at the bottom.
Oh my god.
Edge, so you do okay.
I just go
Well, you just told me. Tell me. Okay.
I was trying to be sweet
Thank you.
and make a mess.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm a good helper, huh?
I see that.
Thank you.
Okay. I may have to do this again when I get my icing on here, but this is at least okay. Give us a head start a little bit. Okay. Let me get the number 1 round here. And my icing, I'll go ahead and do gray. So I'm going to get the burnt umber and ultramarine blue, make a gray. I'm going to go a little bit more on the blue side. And add quite a bit of white to it. And this is where I'm going to go on this side of that. And this icing actually goes off top of that cookie because of the angle that we're seeing it. So. Looks like green. That. Set your brush down. Let it spread out a little bit. Pull it in. Going fairly thick with my paint because this icing is piped on, you know, so it's got kind of a thickness to it. We'll be adding white on top of this, so this won't be our final layer. Curves a little bit as it goes up, curves down here and curves up right up there a little bit. Somebody got a little lazy with the icing there. I'll try to bring it up a little bit. There we go.
That is some serious rain.
Serious rain. Our dog's probably wanting to go out in it. He loves rain. Well, I take that back. He likes to get dried off in the towel after the rain. But he does like the rain too. Which is nice because our other dog didn't.
I mean, it would be nice to have
I
a
put this on the
balance.
wrong side. Shoot.
It'd be
What?
nice that he didn't mind going out in the rain, but came in relatively quickly after he finished doing
Right,
his business. Not walk around the whole yard checking things
I know,
out.
like,
And
hey, this is pretty cool out here. I like it.
it's like, I don't even know he realizes it is raining sometimes.
I know. I know. It really does. Okay, I put that highlight on the total wrong side here. I'm going to have to do a little surgery. So maybe wait for your highlight until after you do your icing. That was probably premature. Because I ended up with it on this side of my cookie instead of the other side where it was needing to be. Just putting my shadows back in. This one's on the right side. It's the only one I did right. Somebody distracted me by messing up my water thing here. I'm going to blame it on you.
I didn't mess it up. I helped you.
Okay.
Remember, it was all help.
Okay. There we go. Just shadowing this bottom area here. Just doing a little surgery there on it, cleaning up that cookie. All right, I'm going to use this light color here. Just going to go in here and stipple in if I need it. Okay, that's good. All right, now I'm going to grab the bright white here. And I'm going to stipple with this because it's kind of sugared. So I'm going to just try to tap over this to create that effect. If I tap with that white, it'll catch the light. It's not going to go on too solid, and that way I'll have some areas that'll look darker and some that are lighter, and that'll look like that sugar, hopefully. That's the idea, at least. How are we doing on time? 7:13. Okay, I need to get going.
You do know that I'm okay with it going more than 2 hours, right?
I know, but I'm trying. I want
I
to.
know.
I want to do it that way too.
I'm going to give you an A for effort.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't have any gold stars, but I would give you one.
Okay. Okay. That does look like crystallized sugar. I like it. It's working. I don't paint these ahead of time, so we just never know what's going to happen. We hope for the best. Especially when I'm trying to go faster too. I don't have as much time to really think through the processes. So sometimes the effect is good. Sometimes I probably overthink things, make them too complicated. So being on a time limit will help me kind of simplify. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
What do you think about using an iridescent paint for the frosting?
Yeah, you could do that. Cool. Or silver, or, yeah.
Okay, so there's no extra charge for that?
No.
All right, so yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Yep, they could do that. I would still do the dark color underneath and do the iridescent as your last layer. The iridescents tend to be kind of transparent. So you want to use whatever undercolor that's closest to the finish color that you want. So if you're using like a gold, then you're going to want to, like a golden yellow underneath. And then in this case, the gray would work just fine for a light white, iridescent. I brought that one down a little bit farther than I should have. And I'm deliberately kind of being not messy about it, but kind of going off the edges a little bit to, create that look, because these sugar crystals aren't all kind of perfectly aligned on the icing. going above and beyond, or you know, above and around it, and side to side. If you like a cleaner look, you can just tap in the, or you know, do a little bit of the white over the top of your icing on the highlight side of it and leave that darker gray in there. But go in here and darken up my shadows underneath my areas here. That dark shadows, which is really going to give that icing that 3D effect. Okay. So here's our lights here. So there's a couple here. I'm just going to do them in white first, and that'll cover up that blue, and then we can go over them with our color.
And again,
whatever colors we want.
You grab the stippler.
Yes, grab the stippler. Light amount of paint on my brush, so I can put this on fairly thin. But it's because I want it to be kind of fuzzy around the edges. That's the whole halo effect that we're looking for with our lights. Bokeh effect. You could use the little round dauber for this if you wanted to, and just kind of thin down your paint a little bit. But having it in this white will really help us. We'll be glad we did it in white. Once we put the color on, it'll stand out a whole lot better. And then I'm going to go through here and just, there's a ton of little, actually, let's use the Q-tips. I'm going to wet them down a little bit and get some of this white. I got some glaze here too. We could just use Zinc White for this too, but hold these apart and just, I really want them to be circles. I guess 2 at a time is about as good as I can do. I'm not that coordinated. Get a friend doing it with you. You could rubber band them together. I've seen that done, but I didn't want it like a pattern, so I just kind of wanted them to be random. Yeah, this is where if you wanted to, you could use Zinc White. This Titanium White's working fine though, so.
Come in.
What?
Come in.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sounds like you're knocking.
Oh.
Good thing Fitz wasn't in here. He'd be barking.
Oh yeah, he would be. Yes, he would be. Really press down in some of these. Get a little bit whiter. And every now and then we hear, ow, come from the other room. Was that on camera?
I don't know. I was letting somebody said that their dogs run to the door now.
When what?
Right now, they said.
Oh,
that
they
their
ran to
dog-
the door. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really funny. Sorry.
It's okay. It's not as cruel as me.
Doing the
Hmm?
doing she shall who shall not be
Right.
named. Yeah.
Right. Both of them.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Okay.
Somebody would like to know, are you planning to do the texture on the mug also?
I'm hoping to. I'm kind of
Yes.
saving that for last. So
I think so.
if I have time, I will.
She'll have time.
Okay. Let's do the. I want to clean that out really good and dry it out because I want it to be dry for when I do my color on those areas. All right, so let's go ahead and get some of that white. I need to clean off my palette because I'm all out of clean spot. I'm gonna get just a tiny bit of blue. Actually, let's get the phthalo blue because it's kind of more of our predominant color here. And I'm going to pull down. There is a lip in this mug that's kind of right in here somewhere. Okay. And then go along that top edge. Top edge has got a good highlight on it. Even in our shadow side, that light's hitting it. And then right in here it starts to kind of bleed down. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of use what's left in my paintbrush. So I've got kind of started up here with my full, full paint on the brush, and then now I have very little paint on here, and I'm just gonna. Now I've already got this good dark back here. If you don't have it dark, that's not gonna work. But I'm just gonna kind of put in some highlights in my dark area here with the mug. I'm just using my finger to wipe that out, but you can see it just barely adding a few little bits. I'm going to go ahead and pull this direction. I'm going to dry brush over this area and stop about 2/3. You don't want to go into here with this. You want this edge here to be the light area. Get a little bit more white and really make sure that area is really nice and bright. Go ahead and bring it down into that mug too. Right, I've got very little paint on my brush here because I don't want to get into my shadow area, my cookie or anything like that. So I'm happy with that. Let me go ahead and just kind of dry brush a little bit of this color in the middle parts of my mug. Just a little bit. Where it rounds out, it kind of, this cookie has kind of a distinct shape there, the shadow. There's a little bit of light hitting this area. Oh, very light. I'm just dry brushing this. You can use your finger to help too. Okay. And there's a little bit of the white part of the mug right here. Got some squeaky toys in the background, sorry.
We are a professional outfit here.
Sure, the dogs are probably going crazy over that too. Sorry. I found Fitzpickle a pickle for his Christmas gift, so he's already got his Christmas gift in the garage. I think I bought his present first before I bought anybody else's. If that tells you anything about my priorities. All right. Let's grab some. I've got my 3/0 brush now. I'm going to really thin out this white here so that I have a good... Make sure it's probably got a little bit of blue in there. There was other colors in my white here, so it's not pure white, but it's close. The water will just help it flow off my brush faster. Be easier to manipulate. All right, so over here, there's really not a whole lot we're seeing, but right in here is our first kind of spot here. It's right above this cookie right here. So there's like a dot. And then you go down here and just outside that shadow area, there's another dot. And then in between these two, there's a plus sign. You could do whatever you wanted. You could do polka dots. You don't have to do this fancy. This mug does have a lot of detail. A lot. There's another dot right off the tip of this guy right here. And then across in between them. Another cross down here. I didn't put that tip down, that dot low enough. I think this dot is supposed to be lower. Maybe this one's supposed to be higher. I don't know. Okay, then right here. If you lay out this part of it first, you'll have a lot easier time of it when you do your fancier details. If you get all these in the right spots, then that part of it's a lot easier. Now, it does taper a little bit as it comes in on the sides. So these kind of change angle just slightly. Instead of being a perfect straight up and down, they kind of angle out a little bit. There's another dot right here. Okay, and then okay, so there's our main little dots and crosses, and then in between them there are let's see, like from right here to here, there's 2 dots here, here. So from here to here, we have a dot here. It's kind of like the These dots are connected by 2 other dots, so there are little dots in between each one of them, and you can kind of know how close to do them by the crosses. So okay.
So while she's concentrating painting on that, I'll mention Patreon.
Okay.
So we're at patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. You can support the channel. And at different levels, you get different things. So you can get traceables at the $2 level, traceables in a bonus video. It's $5 level and $10 level, all that plus an additional bonus video that's done over the course of 3 or 4 weeks during the month, in a Facebook group also.
Yes.
So you can check it out over there. And then in December, we're doing the 12 Days of Christmas
We are. Yeah.
giveaway. More details to be coming
Yeah.
on how that's going to work. And then we're also going to be doing a color chart bingo for the Patreon supporters. I believe the date is moved.
Yes, we're going to do it on a Saturday instead of that Sunday because I didn't want to conflict with church services. So we're going to do it on Saturday night, the 12th. So, all right. Let's go ahead and grab the Zinc White now because, well, I think I can just do it. I'll just do it with what I have here. I'm going to use this transparent or the glazing medium here. I've mixed up that blue with that blue gray that we used on the icing here. I'm going to use it on the mug edge right here. Kind of basically sort of starts in the middle and then it goes closer to the edge here. Kind of got a little too far to the middle there. And then sort of disappears and shows up a little bit like right there. Okay, I'm making a mess. I need to start this over. I need a better paper towel. Okay. Have this thin enough. It's got to be kind of thin enough that it goes on easy with this liner or the round brush, but also thick enough that it's opaque. Shows up on our mug here. So we're just trying to highlight that edge. So right up underneath there's a little bit of a cast light that's catching, and then there's a little bit more right here. And this really actually does kind of come all the way around. It's very faint in this middle area though. And then it really darkens, brightens up right down here. It gets a little bit thicker. Okay, so there's our edge of our mug. We got it dark enough. You don't have to really go back in and shadow anything. This is really the only detail we're going to have to add. I'm going to go back in and do just a little bit more with the white right there. And then I'm going to go back in here. So the rest of this is finding these dots and doing basically kind of a heart shape on either side. Get better white here. twisted my brush through, so I got a good point to work with. Okay, so I'm going to go from almost to where the dot is, go up and around, and make a kind of a heart shape. Like that. Oop. Okay, I messed that one up. I'm glad you zoomed in for that. Perfect timing. Zoom in to see her mess this up. Check.
We'll take that out in post.
Okay.
It's all CG
It's a little
anyways.
bit. It's a little bit of a mind bender here as you get going, because you're kind of like, which direction am I going here? Oops, Sienna just did that one the wrong way. Oh well. And these ones out here, you're not really seeing a whole lot of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do these main parts, and then I'm gonna go back in and finish off the more smaller details. There's more curly cues to come. Stay tuned. Right now they look a little bit like 4-leaf clovers. You could make snowflakes out of these. I think that would be pretty. You know, do like just 2 pieces across and little dots and things in them. You don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing mine, or like it is in the picture. If this stresses you out, then do something that you find fun. So just do polka dots through your whole mug or whatever.
Tanks.
Tanks, right, exactly.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
That voice.
I replied to it.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't only me hearing the voice.
No way. Okay. And I find it's just better to go quickly with this kind of thing. Like, I know, you know, it's, you want to, you know, do a good job, of course, but I find that if you don't get too fussy with the details, it looks a little bit better. It's a little bit more painterly if it's just a little bit imperfect. And a lot of times these mugs and things are done, you know, by hand, and they're not perfectly rendered either. So it's totally fine. Just do the best you can, but don't let it stress you out. It's supposed to be fun, so, you know. I'm just putting some random curly cues there in those areas, and then I'm going to grab some more of this. And to finish it off, I'm going to do 2 more little curlies, a little smaller, that are facing towards the outside. So they're facing towards the plus signs this way.
Plus signs like that?
Right here.
When you were talking there about that, it reminded me of that little snippet from Adam Savage talking about when he's about to do something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was good.
If he's doing it poorly, he stops and pays attention to himself. And if he finds that he's really tense and like his fist is clenched, or, you know, his teeth are grinding,
Or his shoulders are tight, or
right,
whatever.
he kind of relaxes.
Yeah, he consciously
right
makes an effort to relax. And then often that's why he was doing poorly, because when you tense up, your muscles can't flow, you know. Yeah. So if I'm just, you know, holding my brush, you know, so like this, I won't be able to, you know, I won't be able to do it smoothly. I'll be too tense for it to get a good result. So Yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I definitely agree with that. I've seen that too, for sure.
You want to be relaxed, but you don't want to be so relaxed that it's just like going all over the place. There's
Right,
that,
right.
He was talking about, he's not a professional in some of the things that he does, but he thinks about the professionals that do it for a living and realizes that they aren't tense when they're doing it. It's just
Right.
natural, so they just flow with it.
Yeah, because they're comfortable with it, so they're relaxed.
Right.
And enjoying the process.
I'm kind of like that with putting cookies in my face. I'm not tense at all. I'm relaxed.
You're a pro.
And I go
You're
with the
a pro,
process.
honey.
Yep.
You're the best I've ever seen doing that.
Cookie Monster has nothing on me.
Exactly. So we're doing kind of the heart shapes sort of this way too. So doing the heart shaped inward, and then you're doing the heart shape on the outside too. Just about kind of. That's the only thing I can liken it to. It's not really a closed heart, but it's similar. I find it that if I can't make sense of a pattern in my head, then I have a really hard time seeing it. So by kind of going, okay, that's like breaking it down into something that's a little bit more recognizable, like a heart, then I tend to, can kind of keep up with it, and I don't get lost in all the little details. And these ones that are kind of towards the outside edges or in those darker edges, I'm not pressing down as hard, so I'm not getting as solid of a line. So they're going to be a little bit softer looking. I didn't do that one very good, but it's all right. Lots of squeaking going on out there. A whole lot of squeaking going on. All right, so there we go. We got our little mug shapes in. If you want to get really fancy about it, you could go back in and shadow, which probably ought to do, but I don't think I might do a little bit of it, but I don't want to have to do the whole mug. It's a lot. So I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt umber, burnt sienna, burnt umber and ultramarine blue mixture. I got a little bit of phthalo blue too. And just glaze here, get a little glazing medium so that it's not too dark. I don't want it to be like an outline, but I want it a little bit darker. And you'll be able to tell right away if it's dark enough, because if you can't see it against the background, then it needs to be a little bit darker. Because the background is kind of our mid-tone, and then this one should be the darker tone. So go and, that'll work. So just kind of go on the shadow side, wherever the shadows are. See how that works? And like I said, I don't have to do it everywhere, but if I just do it on a few of these, then I'll kind of give it a little bit more dimension. This is showing up okay in these kind of middle areas, and then in these darker areas I'm probably going to have to get a little bit of the darker, go a little bit darker with it. What?
Dogs are still looking around.
Looking for the toys being squeaked.
Yes, one says that dog's freaking out,
Oh no.
running around the apartment looking for the squeaky.
Oh no.
So
Sorry.
so I might be replacing the cowbell with a squeaky toy.
Just because he is that evil.
Exactly.
He really is. It'll give him no amount of adolescent joy to know he is tormenting hundreds of dogs. All right. Oh, I'm going to get a little bit of the purple here too. I had meant to use the purple in our shadow here on this, and I ended up using the burnt orange mixed with the blue, which was another kind of a purple color. So, all right. So I used the burnt umber, ultramarine blue, a little bit of the Dioxazine purple here. I'm going to get some glaze. I want a really dark color here. And I offloaded some of this color so I don't have too much on my brush at once. Make sure that my white is all dry that I just put on. And I'm going to glaze my shadow back on my cookie. My mug, I'm sorry, from my cookie to my mug. And then there's almost a straight line here that goes across. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and darken up this bottom edge and this side of the mug a little bit. Let's go ahead. I said we weren't going to have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and a little bit of a shadow there. I'm doing this over the top of that, will kind of set those shadows in. We'll set tone down the highlights on that mug, or the light areas on the mug a little bit. So I'm just going to use my finger. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. A little bit of dark black. I think I'll be close, hon. I think I'll be close. Get the black. Go right up there with the black. Okay, I'm gonna get some yellow, Indian yellow. A little bit of glaze and some cadmium yellow. I'm going to kind of use both on my brush here. Go over these areas. Having that white underneath will really make it much brighter. Don't need a lot of paint on here for this. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab some of that yellow, Indian yellow. And maybe even a little bit of the Quinacridone burnt orange. And do some kind of gold around the sides of some of these. Just kind of go back in and tint just a little bit some of these, and maybe even add just a few that are over the green.
If they don't have the Indian yellow, just any yellow.
Yeah, oh, just maybe add a red or magenta or something to make it a little bit more orange. It's just kind of a golden orangey yellow. So we're just, or you could just use the quinacridone burnt orange like I am here. It's fine. You just want kind of a two-tone effect on here. Makes it a little bit more special. Very little paint though. That's the main thing. I think people kind of overdo go a little heavy with their paint. And these kind of things you kind of really have to be soft, have a soft touch. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt orange and white here. So when mixing them together, you can make almost like a pink, you can see. And I'm going to wipe most of that out. Just do a few of the dots with the pink. A little bit more white here. Just do some more that are just barely pink. And this is where if you wanted to, you could use your round little stippler instead of this brush. I just find it easier and faster to use this. I feel like I can control the paint on it a little bit easier. Sometimes with those sponges, you really can't tell how much paint is on there when you get going. Okay, there we go. And let's go ahead and use I am going to use the Zinc White now though, for real. Zinc White. Ideally, all of this is going to be dry, completely dry. It's probably not, but I'm going to do the best I can and just use this Zinc White and swirl it on here like it looks like steam rising from our cup.
Nice.
Use a little bit of the titanium white just to make it a little bit more opaque, but keep it light. I would rather do 3 or 4 layers of this, light layers, than, you know, go in heavy-handed and mess up our background. So kind of go really light with it. Put a little bit of paint on your brush and then put it, you know, dab it on the paper towel before you go to the canvas here. And just make sure you've got some areas that are kind of leading the eye up. A little bit thicker than others, so got a little. It's pretty subtle in the picture, but I'm making it a little bit more visible, just because I want that visual. All right. See that? Nice. And then I'm going to go back in with my white and yellow. Cadmium yellow and white here, and just kind of tap in just a little bit on the center of my sparkles and some of these sparkles. Probably need to use that other brush. This one's working okay. It's a little clumsy, but it's working. Okay, so see how that one, the green, or that was trying to come through, that's because that yellow was drying, and so I ended up lifting off some of that color. So, all right. Let me do one last thing. I want to splatter it. I know it's not in the picture, but there are little dabs over the top of the mug, so I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle with some white, some new, and go ahead and use these dabbers to add some snowdrops over the mug. And cookie. Go. It's snowing. Isn't that fun? Mm-hmm. Okay, let me sign it. I'm going to take this off because it makes my edge look square. I want to keep that dark edge there on my corner of my mug there. Jingle bells! Yay! Super chat.
Super chat. We had a super chat real early in the show.
Nice.
It was from Kristen. And
Kristen?
She says, thank you both and good vibes for everyone.
Aw.
Well, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen.
We really appreciate it.
We do. It's amazing. You guys are so good to us. All right, I'm going to darken this up. So after I did that, I realized it's just not dark enough right here. So I'm going to just take this. I'm just going to try to dry brush it a little bit. That way it'll go on a little bit softer. Really darken up this corner of the mug. This bottom edge of the hand a little bit. Try not to get my hand in that wet paint, because my hand wants to do that. I'm just rubbing that on so I'm getting it soft. If I get too much, I can kind of take my finger and wet it and rub that out a little bit. But that's better. That settles it. It was kind of looking like it was floating right here just because it wasn't as dark as my shadow over here. So it just needed to be a little bit more set down in there. But I think it's better now. Alrighty. Good. What? Pull it down a little. Okay. There we go. Yeah. You know, I feel like I probably let me do one more thing. I'm just seeing. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of white glazing, which I don't normally glaze with white, but I think I'm gonna do it in this case and just kind of go over this whole section here.
Oh, gives it that light effect, the washed out effect.
Yeah, it'll just kind of highlight it and make it look like that. Yeah, a little bit lighter. Wow.
He probably heard the bells.
Oh, yeah. He's ready. He's ready for some lap time with Mama.
It was so funny the other day. He jumped up and he just laid across Angela's lap and just like fell asleep.
Yeah, it was so cute. Yeah. Like coming in. I probably could have gone a little bit warmer with my colors on my mug, and what you could do to correct that is I could tint the whole mug with a little bit of like a warmer yellow color, but I think I'm just going to leave it. I think it's good enough, but you can adjust the colors even at this point if you wanted to. I can see that mug is maybe a little bit warmer tone than I have it here. You know, I have a lot of the grays, but I didn't use the warmer, like a unbleached titanium or something to tint. I'll use it up here. Okay, that's it. That was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you can share it with me on social media. Try it for yourself. Give it a thumbs up. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Let them know what we're doing over here on our channel. It helps us get the word out. Appreciate it whenever we see that. I'm going to go ahead and add some more bright yellow to my things here as we go out. A little bit more. Just noticing that it can be even brighter. See how bright? Mark is like, I thought we were going. Shoot, you should have known better. There we go. A little bit brighter. Just, I really shouldn't be doing this at this point after we did our snow, because now I'm covering up my snow, but you know, you can always go back in and add your snow again. No biggie. All right, there we go. That's it. We're done. Yeah, I just wanted it a little bit brighter. Alrighty, let's get out of here. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next time. We won't be having the show on Saturday, but we'll be back next Tuesday for our, and that'll be the start of our 12 Days of Christmas, right? Nice, yes. Yeah, so be looking for that. If you want more information about it, you can join our newsletter at my website, thankfulart.com. But we'll be posting it on all my social media. All the links are down in the description to all my social media links. So, alrighty. Thanks, guys. Have a great, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time. Bye.